Welcome to your social TV newscast with me, Sam Marshall. In today's groundbreaking interview, we sit down with Dr. Siya Mjwara, the pioneering psychotherapist behind South Africa's first online recovery school. As our nation grapples with the devastating impact of widespread trauma, Dr. Mjwara's innovative approach to mental health care offers a glimmer of hope in the darkness. The Recovery School's virtual platform provides a safe haven for individuals to confront their challenges, heal from their wounds, and reclaim their lives. Join us as we explore this cutting-edge strategy and transformative potential of this revolutionary initiative. Dr. Mjwara, thank you very much for joining me on Social TV. And maybe it's prudent to start at the very first point about, tell us more about this online recovery school and what motivated you to establish the first one of its kind.
I think because I've been working in this field for over 17 years now, I've really seen how South Africa is really struggling with mental health issues and behavioral issues. And I think generally many of us struggle to connect the dots when it comes to why we are unhappy, why we are depressed, why our lives are not making sense in our relationships and so on. And mental health is right at the forefront of that. You know, seeing people for trauma, depression, anxiety, couples and individuals and families for so many years has actually just said to me, do something that's gonna open the platform for everyone. You know, I currently do see clients online from anywhere in the world, and I felt like, you know, something like a school would definitely also remove a bit of stigma from the mental health space, because already people have an issue with seeing a psychotherapist or a counselor. So I thought this would be an opportunity that will not exclude anyone, because it doesn't matter what you're going through or what you want to achieve, there is something for everyone.
But the word school implies, or at least the sense of the word school implies some formal or some form of education, some kind of structure. Are you being intentional with the idea of a recovery school that operates similar to a school, or are we biting off the wrong end?
Yes, you're quite right. It's similar to a school. So it's master classes that focus on things like rediscovering yourself, breaking free from limiting beliefs, cultivating resilience, forging meaningful connections, how to live fully in the present, and goal setting. So it definitely is a school, but most of the programs focus holistically on your mental health, wellness, relationships as well. So instead of saying, oh, let's go to group therapy, which is something that I also do, the idea of a school is that we need to educate ourselves on mental health issues to be able to prevent depression, and also to be able to find ways to cope with depression or anxiety that are more healthy if we're already struggling with that. And I think that's where the gap is currently, not just in South Africa, but all over the world, where we need more education on these issues, because that is something that many of us have in common as human beings.
So during the 17 years, and you've alluded to this in your first response, is that you've been working with individuals, couples, and families. But you've also been at the cold face of observing the impact of trauma on South Africans, on their lives, and their ability to make decisions. Just share your experience in terms of, has that gotten better, or has it gotten worse in the current climate?
I think what has gotten better, Sam, is that more and more people are becoming aware of how mental health issues affect their lives holistically. And many of us are starting to connect the dots of trauma. Why is my marriage not working out? Maybe this has a lot to do with my past relationship trauma, or it has something to do with my childhood trauma. So that is good. I think more and more people are speaking about therapy, are speaking about holistic wellness and mindfulness. What I think is getting worse is the unhealthy coping mechanisms. For example, in South Africa, the rates of drug use is increasing, alcoholism, violence, and all of that. So that's what I think is it's just not going in a healthy direction. Another thing that I must mention also is that over the past few years, I've seen more men seeking therapy, which I think is a great thing and a great development for a place like South Africa. And in the past, men would come to therapy because maybe my wife wants a divorce, they can't take it anymore, or I've been drinking a lot of work at work and now I'm being dismissed, or I have a warning and I need to do something. So men are coming forward now to say, look, I want to be a better father. I want to improve my communication. I want to improve maybe emotional, sexual intimacy in my relationship or marriage. So I think for me, that is a big win. And it's really creating a bit of hope, not just for me, I think for many of us in the mental health space.
I can only imagine that the online recovery school comes at a time when individuals, citizens, people are used to online medicine. There are doctors on demand. There are quite a couple of innovative apps that deal with kind of medical issues. Thinking about this online recovery school, you kind of fit in right at a time in our current presence where we are used to talking to people remotely. We are used to engaging with it. So do you foresee any challenges in terms of developing the sense of community, fostering through this virtual world, the ability to empower the individual that you're dealing with?
Not at all, Sam, because as you're saying that many of us are used to doing things online. I mean, there are people, some of my clients, you find that one of the partners is based here in Cape Town, the other one is in the US or Germany, so I think this is really a good time for us to make the most of these kind of platforms. And I'm already seeing things online. I've been doing that for a couple of years. And also I do many other group facilitations and other services online. I think it's just really an opportunity that we can make the most of.
And then can you just maybe elaborate a little bit more on the concept of the intergenerational trauma that we face? How will this recovery school address that issue? And I know you've highlighted a lot of the subjects that will be covered in the school, but there are some big issues that the online recovery school will be dealing with.
I think one of the modules, I think it's module 101, we look at the history of trauma, in all levels. They say personal is political. So we look at all of that holistically and we look at how it relates to you as a person and your childhood. For example, things like some people's fathers and uncles were in exile when they grew up. Some people grew up without fathers because of the political climate at that time. Some of us have had to inherit a lot of financial strain because of the history of our grandparents and our ancestors and so on. So there are modules that have been crafted to look at each issue specifically in depth, so that when a person looks at trauma, because generally when we look at trauma, we usually look at our own traumas, the bullying maybe that happened, or not knowing father, or being abandoned, or a loss, or whatever. But when we look at trauma in that sense, we get to understand it fully, holistically, to say, okay, I'm not just carrying my own trauma that I'm aware of, I'm also carrying trauma that I'm not aware of that could be passed down from generation to generation, or also passed down because of the space geographically that I find myself in.
As we come to the end of this conversation, Doc, I just want to find out about additional resources. Now, there's a lot of work that's gone into some of the topics you'll cover. But in the real world, are there any additional resources?
Yes, definitely. Attendants and students will get some packs for stress management. This is something I already do in all the other group sessions that I provide. So they'll resources for ongoing learning and coping skills, tools like audio clips, tools like links to videos, so that this is something, because this is a lifetime journey. And you know what I usually say, Sam, it's not like you go to therapy or you go to school and be like, okay, now I understand this. You know, when you're passionate about something and intentional about it, you are part of that process, that learning and unlearning process for the rest of your life. So definitely there will be resources, and there are resources already existing that people can always tap into when they're facing a particular situation or when they're unsure, so that they don't always have to come back and be like, now I'm facing this problem, what do I do? And that's the entire idea around it, also to empower people with the ability to manage their lives and also overcome trauma and still live their best lives and thrive.
And of course, we can't forget the connection with business, because a lot of these people are either business owners, work for individuals, and when they can't manage their lives, you see increases in things like absenteeism, productivity, and overall workplace culture. So how will the online recovery schools wellness solution help business?
Definitely is what you've mentioned, because like you say, if there's a toxic work environment, there are people that are contributing to that toxic work environment. So if business leaders and managers and business owners and HR managers are looking for programs at the recovery school, those programs will definitely help them as leaders, but also help the employees. For example, currently we do stress management for small and medium-sized businesses. And out of those stress management sessions, a lot of stuff comes out about workplace culture. A lot of stuff comes out also about leadership of that organization and some of the healthy versus unhealthy behavior patterns. So definitely, I think that will help businesses to reduce absenteeism and also improve productivity and engagement. Because I think one thing that business people sometimes forget is that at the core of their business is people. And if the people are not well mentally and otherwise, and they're not happy, then of course the business is not going to thrive. And many business people would say to us, no, I don't have money to pay for wellness. And I always say, but you're already paying for it, because the staff is getting absent, they're not giving their
Sure.
best, and so on.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you too, Sam. Bye-bye.